My name is Mara Ellison. I'm 32, and I run a cattle ranch in Grady County, Oklahoma. 3 weeks ago, my barn burned down. I called my parents at 2 in the morning. My mother answered and said they were at my brother Nate's birthday dinner. She promised to call back. She never did. 4 days later, they drove 45 minutes to the ranch. They did not come to help. They came to demand half of my grandmother's inheritance. My father, Dean. Nate got new boots every fall. I got hand-me-downs. Nate got driving lessons at 15. Nate's bad grades earned praise. My straight A's got dinner. In my father's house, there were 2 children, but only one investment. When college came, Dad paid for Nate's trade school. Nate dropped out halfway through. I won scholarships, got into agricultural science at Oklahoma State, and left on a Tuesday while Dad was at work. My mother slipped $50 into my suitcase and whispered, "Don't tell him." Grandma June saw everything. She ran a 160-acre ranch after her husband died in a tractor accident. Every summer I spent 2 weeks with her. She taught me fence work, cattle births, weather signs, and how to keep going when your hands hurt. Once, while we were fixing a gate hinge, she said, "Your father left this land because he thought it was beneath him. You stayed because you knew it wasn't." I met my husband, Colin, at a soil workshop. We married at the county fairgrounds under folding chairs. Dad's toast was about Nate's future, as usual. Grandma pulled me aside and said, "I'm making sure you're taken care of, but not yet." When she died 14 months later, the estate attorney read the trust. The land went to me. We moved onto the ranch and rebuilt what we could. Dad never visited. Lana called on Christmas. Nate drove past the gate and never stopped. I told Colin, "I don't need them to love me. I need them to stop acting like I don't exist." Then the barn fire came. By the time I got outside, the main barn was a wall of orange against a black sky. We lost hay, equipment, tools, and a freezer full of vaccines. The old safe in the office survived, bolted to the concrete. At 2:14, I called my mother and told her the barn was gone. I heard music in the background. She said, "That's awful, honey, but we're at Nate's birthday dinner. Can I call you back tomorrow?" She hung up before I could answer. The next day, she did not call. Neither did Dad. 3 days later, Lana asked, "Does the insurance cover the buildings on Grandma's land?" We checked the papers. The trust was ironclad. The deed was in my name. The insurance was ours, finally. Dad had no claim, and Grandma had left a sealed envelope for him in the safe. 5 days after the fire, Nate came to the ranch and looked at the wreckage like salvage. He said Dad thought the land should have been split 50-50. I told him to tell Dad to come himself. He left without another word. On Saturday, my parents arrived. Dad sat at my kitchen table and said Grandma had made a mistake. He said the inheritance should have come to him. I let him talk until the room went quiet. Then I told him Grandma met 8 times, that the trust could not be changed, and that the ranch and insurance were legally mine. When he threatened a lawyer, Colin took the envelope from the drawer, set it in front of him, and said Grandma wanted him to read it. Dad opened it. He read in silence. I watched his face drain of color. Grandma had written, "You chose easy over right. Nate stayed because you made staying comfortable. Mara left because you made leaving necessary. I didn't leave this land to punish you. I left it to the only one who worked it. Love does not mean I owe you what you never earned." Dad's hands started shaking. Lana read it too and went white. He called Grandma cruel. I told him she was clear. He said he raised me. I said he raised me to believe I was worth less than my brother. Then I opened the door and told him he got exactly what he earned. Not the land, not the money, just the letter. They drove away without another word. A week later, the insurance check came through. We rebuilt the barn in steel and concrete. Nate's store failed. Dad got stuck with the lease he co-signed. Lana finally mailed me a card that said she'd seen me, but only after the damage was done. I wrote back once, "Say it in front of him or don't say it at all." I took Grandma's letter to the new barn and framed it beside her photograph. Some families teach you where you belong. Mine taught me to build my own place and keep the key for good.